everybody, welcome back from Labor Day weekend. The court will come to order. There's a quorum present. Everyone's here and accounted for. All legal notices have been duly posted, and the court duly called. Is there a motion to close the August term?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion to open the September term?
Second.
All those in favor? Dale, please open the court.
Please rise. Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the September 2011 term with the Honorable Clay Lewis Jenkins presiding. Please remain standing for the invocation.
Our invocation today will be given by a guest of Commissioner Price.
Judge, Commissioner, this morning we're very pleased to have Reverend H.L. Van Bolden. Reverend Van Bolden is currently serving as a minister at his home church, the Bethlehem Baptist Church there in Terrell, Texas, where he began his ministry and was licensed as a Baptist minister to preach in 2002. He was ordained in the gospel ministry in 2009 and has been endorsed by the Baptist General Convention of Texas. He served since 2006 as a chaplain for the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport Interfaith Chaplaincy and Parkland Hospital, where he currently been there since 2009. Reverend Van Bolden has served in 2007, 2008 as an interfaith chaplain there at Terrell State Hospital in Terrell, Texas. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Psychology from the University of Texas at Arlington, a master's degree in theology, completed his doctorate of ministry degree from Faith Evangelical Seminary in Tacoma, Washington. He is a former Ford Foundation Scholar, Prairie View, twice AP Sloan Scholar to Dillard University in New Orleans. In 2010, Pastor Van Bolden completed his residency in 5th Unit of Clinical Pastoral Education. He is a founder and past CEO of American Telecom Network in Dallas, Texas, a past Quest for Success Award winner from the Black Chamber of Commerce, founder of VSSAE Scholarship Awards. He's happily married to Stephanie, his wife 15 years, and together they have a fine son, Hassim, who is now 11. He is one of those 4 o'clock in the morning for about 6 years working out, and he is physically fit as well as mentally. Pastor Van Bolden, thank you for joining.
Pleasure to be here. With all that said, let us please bow for a moment and go to God in prayer. Precious Father, our Lord, our God, and our Savior, it is by your grace we have life as we begin this new day of service. And with the life we have, we voice our thanks to you. We are forever grateful for your many opportunities and the freedom to not only gather together in peace, but for the opportunity to serve our fellow man, your people and our brothers and sisters, our brethren. As we give thanks today, we petition your guidance in the endeavors of this court. We're mindful, Lord, that we are weak and many times unwise and sinful in our thoughts and actions. We're therefore forever aware we need your help and your strength, not only to lead with wisdom, but to follow and serve in a like manner. For our steps we pray and lead us in the paths of righteousness for your sake. Give us a heart full of love and a mindset that, like Paul, we who are strong should bear the weaknesses of those who are weak, and not, dear Lord, to please ourselves. We pray that you will strengthen each of us as servants to your people, as to please his neighbor, not for his good, leading to edification, knowing whatever things wise written before were written for our learning, that we, with the patience and comfort of the scriptures, standing on the shoulders of many of your great and mightier servants, God might have hope. Your servant prays for the fulfilling of this hope on our land, on our country, and on this county. Help each of us to trust in you for direction, individually and collectively, as we endeavor to lean not to our own understanding, but to acknowledge you as our Creator and Lord. Therefore, Lord, we pray that you direct our path, for we desire to understand that it is not only through your blessings and your leadership that we gather and prosper as a people. Now may the God of patience and comfort grant you to be like-minded toward one another, according to Christ Jesus, that you may with one mind and one mouth, through your actions and deeds glorify the God and Father of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen, and God bless you.
Welcome to this meeting of the Dallas County Commissioners Court. Today we'll be considering items on our official agenda, recess for our formal work session, one of our registered speakers. If we have a registered speaker that's on a court order, we'll have you off at the time of the court order. The court will then convene in closed session to consider items as allowed by law. And we have two resolutions this morning. And the first is by Commissioner Price.
Judge, Commissioners, I'd ask Mr. Zach Thompson and the Army of Nurses to come forward, at least the generals in the Army. I think a lot of you got this information over the weekend, and it's no surprise and definitely timely. It says, whereas vaccines are among the 21st century's most successful and cost-effective public health tools available for preventing disease and death, and whereas immunizations are one of the most important ways parents can protect their children against serious diseases, as they require a series of vaccinations starting at birth to be fully protected against 14 potentially serious diseases. And whereas, according to the Center for Disease Control, the National Immunization Survey, Dallas County's immunization rates coverage for the full series of HIV, that's HIV, vaccines increased 18.5 percentage points from 49.3% in 2009 to 67.8% in 2010. Coverage for 3 or more doses of rotavirus vaccines increased 11.8 percentage points from 47.4% in 2009 to 59.2% in 2010. And coverage for the 314 vaccine series that includes the full HIP series increased 18.7 percentage points from 39.1% in 2009 to 57.8% in 2010. These increases were statistically significant. The National Immunization Survey is a national survey conducted annually by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention to assess immunization levels among preschool children 19 through 35 months old. And whereas Dallas County Health and Human Services attributes the increase in immunization rates to the community-wide support of the medical providers, school districts in Dallas County, and daycare operators, and whereas Dallas County Health and Human Services, the strategies for improving immunization rates in Dallas County include promoting the effective use of the M-Track Immunization Registry, promoting the concept of the medical home by recruiting more providers into Vaccines for Children program, and the Dallas County Health and Human Services remains committed to the goal of providing barrier-free immunization to the citizens of Dallas County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court commends the Dallas County Health and Human Services immunization program for their contributions to the increased immunization rates in Dallas County and a successful back-to-school immunization campaign. And I so move.
Second.
Please come forward. I beg your pardon. All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Now you can put it.
Judge, Commissioners, standing behind me is what I consider to be the best nurses that in 15 years that I've seen. Pat Cook, who is our supervisor for immunization division, Barbara Davis, Tamara Squadron, they have been on the forefront, working nights, weekends, to get our kids immunized before school started. This has been a very successful immunization campaign that started a year-long campaign. As Dr. Garcia saw at our Irving Mall, Commissioner Price, I think you were at all of our immunization campaign from DeSoto to our building at HHS as well as Antioch. What you're seeing is that this staff has put in enormous amount of hours to ensure that our kids were ready to go back. We only had a large line on the first day, and after that there were no lines. If you recall last year, we had lines for 2 weeks. So that's a testament to the work that the nurses, the clerks of Dallas County Health and Human Services have done in terms of ensuring that our kids are immunized. But I don't want to take it lightly in terms of the immunization survey that was done by the CDC. We're basically been told, not just by CDC, but by our local Texas Department of State Health Services staff, that this is a significant increase in immunization rates. And I want to commend our staff, and I want to commend the judge and the commissioners for your support through this whole process and ensuring that we have barrier-free immunization.
And Zach, when you say barrier-free, we don't check on kids' citizenship. We don't check on their residence in the county. We don't check on their parents' income when they come in to be immunized, correct?
Right. What we say is barrier-free is that there is no reason for anyone, there's no reason for anyone to be denied services in terms of getting immunized. So it's barrier-free regardless of the inability to pay, regardless of any circumstance. This particular survey dealt with children being immunized by the age of 2 years of age. And so in terms of our overall immunization program, while we do charge a $5 fee or $10 fee, if a family does not have it, it's barrier-free. So there is no excuse for anyone to get immunization services in Dallas County.
And if a person is in trouble with the law, or owes the county money, or owes taxes, or owes a speeding ticket, that is they're not going to be, that's not something we're going to check on. That's not a problem when it comes to immunizing children.
Right, but we're registering the children when they come in. Right. So they shouldn't have any of those issues yet.
Mr. Thompson, also, will you speak to the fact that, and because we have good satellite coverage, the number of people, when we talk about barrier-free, we get people from other counties, surrounding counties, and because we get the product from the state, that's one of the reasons, again, part of that barrier-free.
Right. What you look at is that we're talking almost 70,000 doses of vaccine that's being administered. And we're looking at over 50,000 children who got immunized through not only our main campus on Stemmas, but our satellite clinics throughout Dallas County. And as Commissioner Price pointed out, when we had our clinics on Saturdays, we had people coming from Ellis County, we had people coming from Frisco, so they were all around in terms of being able to get the vaccination. Here's the key point. Some people took their kids to clinics outside of Dallas County Health and Human Services and found that they didn't have enough vaccine. When you come to our clinics, we have all of the vaccine, so there is no issue of shortage. There is no issue of not getting all the vaccines that were required, and that's what we saw on a number of occasions that people went to clinics and they just didn't have all the necessary back-to-school vaccination.
We also got comments, Judge, from people from other counties. We talked about the fact that on Saturday they were able to come to Dallas County and not be turned away, how appreciative they were. But back at this nurse corps, it's one thing to talk about 50,000 people. These nurses give, and we calculated based on where we were. In DeSoto, I think the average was about 4 shots. When we went to the main campus out there that Saturday, I think it was about 3 shots. In Antioch, it was about 3 shots. So what these nurses, not only, it's not just a shot, they're skilled at having to look at those records, review those records, and give a number of shots to one child. And so when you talk about, like you said, 50,000, you're talking about 70,000, 100,000 shots, just depending. And so, and seeing them work, day in and day out, and they've got their regular work schedule, but they're there on Saturdays. They're there whenever it takes, in the evenings. And so I just really want to compliment. Last year we did something for them, and we're going to do something again this year. I know a lot of people in Dallas County, a lot of our employees work long, arduous hours. But this corps here, it's just great to be on the ground and watch them and see them. And sometimes it's maddening and mayhem, but they manage and they get through it. So,
and the wide support, the community support was incredible to see. because we have so many volunteers. As a matter of fact, we're signing over 50 letters to MRC volunteers that help with the immunization program. And I was very delighted to see that they're coming from all over the county. People that were ready to help us be there for long hours, sometimes around crying children. So it went very well, and I'm very proud of the work that the staff did, and of course, to all the people that took the time to help us. We couldn't do it without you. And last but not least, the media was very good as well.
Very good.
For the first time that I remember, they were all together helping us.
The first time they did.
No, I didn't say it for the first time.
No.
I think that you did a great job, Mr. Thompson, having all the public service announcements on prime time as well.
English and Spanish.
English and Spanish, I hear it several times. So thank you to all the members of the media that helped in this very important effort. So with that, congratulations to all the nurses and all the staff.
One last thing, they will shift now from the immunization, and on this Thursday, we will start offering the flu vaccine. So the same nursing staff that has been working weekends and nights in terms of getting kids immunized, we will make that shift to now providing adult flu vaccine here in Dallas County on Thursday at our Dallas County Health and Human Services building. It's $20 for the flu vaccine, and of course, if they're Medicare takes care of it. So this staff, and I really want to, if we can give them a hand for just the great job that they're doing, I really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, let's get a picture.
Come on down.
As much as it's important that we crack down on scopeballs, that we start this aggressive policy to means test folks who are seeking court-appointed attorneys to make sure they truly qualify. It's equally important that every child, regardless of who they are, where they're from, or their immigration status, that those kids get immunized. Because it's not only important for that child, it's important for every child who goes to school with that child or our community. So I'm proud of this barrier-free program.
No shots.
Immunization. Yeah.
Need a flu shot? Sideline?
One more with this one, and then I'll switch cameras. Sorry, okay, one more. All right, thank you.
There you go.
I think you did my flu shot last year.
Yeah, I think it's bad.
And it doesn't even hurt, y'all. She's so good, it's just bam, bam. She's like good. It's a flu shot. The next resolution is for me, and Scott Greason, Eddie Carr-Starkin, and any other ham radio operators that are here helping us with preparedness come forward. And the resolution reads as follows. Whereas September is National Preparedness Month in Dallas County, and Dallas County is fortunate to have many volunteers trained in amateur radio service and perform a number of public service and emergency preparedness functions in their Texas. Whereas many times our normal modes of communication become overwhelmed during an emergency and are sometimes unusable, amateur radio communication by seasoned professionals allow us to keep in contact with local, state, and federal resources to communicate all information on disaster, and whereas since Dallas County lies in Tornado Alley, our amateur radio volunteers work with the National Weather Service, their storm spotters to provide vital information during severe weather, help determine when to put out warnings to the general public, and whereas the amateur radio community also provides critical real-time information to emergency management officials to better prepare for all hazards, and now therefore be it resolved, the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize the Dallas County Amateur Radio Volunteers for their commitment and dedication to providing communications throughout Metroplex during emergencies, disaster, and severe weather situations, and I move for second. All those in favor? Aye. Please come forward.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All is yours.
Commissioners, my name is Andy Karstarkin, amateur radio call sign WY5B. Many of you may be surprised to hear that amateur radio or ham radio is even still around in this day of the internet, satellites, yes, and cell phones, and all the different types of communications that we have now. It's certainly brought our world a lot closer. But as wonderful as those ways to communicate are, every once in a while something happens that bogs that down. And written into the very rules and regulations that we have for our hobby is an element of public service. Basically, just about every government in the world recognizes that ham radio operators are kind of handy to have around in times of emergency. Basically, they say, here's these radio waves, go play with them if you find anything interesting. Come back and tell us. And oh, by the way, if things really go bad, we'd like you to help us out every once in a while. And that's what, we're all volunteers. We don't get paid a thing for this except for maybe a pat on the back every once in a while and a thank you. But like most volunteers, if you do your job right, most folks never know it. For example, if you listen to the radio or watch the television during severe weather, you might hear the weather forecaster say that a storm spotter has spotted a tornado on the ground. Well, very likely that storm spotter was not just someone trained by the Weather Service to look at severe weather and interpret it, but also linked by amateur radio. We're entering into the month of September, which of course is now the National Preparedness Month. And ham radio is right there along with us. Anytime there's something big that happens, a hurricane, tornadoes, range fires, which is kind of a pertinent subject now, you'll find a ham there. You won't have to scratch the surface very hard. We come from all walks of life, doctors, lawyers, just plain folks. But we're tied together by a common hobby, that's communication, and we like to bring those skills to bear when appropriate.
Anyone else? Why don't you introduce the folks that came here today?
All right. Just like the group before us, these are representatives of an army, not the army. This is B.J. Evans. Jay, give me your last name, Jay. I'll explain that in just a second. And John Hazelton. Ham radio operators usually go by their first name and their call. If someone asks you, do you know Andy Karstarkin? They'll go, who? And do you know Andy WY5B? Oh, yeah, I know that guy. Okay, so forgive me if I don't always know everybody's last name. And of course, we also have Mr. Roderick Jones. Roderick, of course, is with our Office of Emergency Management, but Roderick is also a ham. So he's sort of embedded in the process. And back here in the back, Scott Greason is also with our Office of Emergency Management. And they work with us very closely and support what we do, and we support what they do. So it's a very successful relationship. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Strengthening our emergency preparedness is something that we work on here in the county every single day. And along those lines, I want to recognize someone who's in our audience today, Edgar Morales. Ed, could you stand up just for a second? Edgar is, thank you. Edgar is, as you can see, he is young. He had a distinguished service to the Central Intelligence Agency. He is now a lawyer with a respected national law firm here in town, and he is my newest appointee to the Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness Advisory Committee. That is, if my fellow court members get you voted on and passed today, we gotta have the vote. But he's here today, and we're honored to have him in the audience, and he brings a background and a wealth of information and help to us at Homeland Security. So we appreciate you agreeing to serve. By the way, the folks who serve on those boards, just like our other boards, serve for no pay, and they put in substantial hours. And we're very honored to have you and the other leaders in our community agree to serve. And that takes us to the consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Item 10 is a public hearing on the hospital tax rate. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion carries unanimously. Motion carries. I'm sorry, all those in favor? Okay, now the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Brown, can you lead the discussion?
Yes, this is the second of two required public hearings on the Dallas County Hospital District's tax rates. The proposed rate, that maximum tax rate was 27.1 cents per hundred. A house of $150,000 with a standard deduction will save $6 due to the 1.71% decrease in the average property tax rate.
Was it published?
It was published in the newspaper. It was posted on the online as required by law.
Any speakers? Anyone want to ask for a tax increase? Any speakers? Any speakers? Hearing no speakers, is there a motion to close this public
So
hearing?
moved. Second.
All those in favor? That motion carries unanimously as well. Item 11 is a public hearing on the Dallas County tax rate.
This is not
Is there a motion to open that public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously, Mr. Brown.
Sorry, I got excited. This is also the second of two required public hearings on the Dallas County tax rate. This was published in the newspaper and posted online as required by law. The maximum tax rate being published is 24.31 cents, which is the same rate as the prior year, so it's no change in the rate because the average property value went down 1.71%. This would result in a $5 savings on a house of $150,000 with standard deduction.
All right, any speakers? Any speakers? Any speakers?
Make a motion that the public hearing cease.
Second, if there are no speakers.
All those in favor? The motion carries unanimously. We'll now consider item 12. Is there a motion on the bid? All those in favor? Motion carries unanimously. We'll now consider court orders 13 through 35. And A1, pulling 18, 22, and taking 1 to close. Taking 14 to close. So, okay, so I need to pull 14. So we need to pull 14, 18, 22. So do I have a motion then? On court orders 13 through 35 and A1, totaling 14, 18, and 22.
So moved.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
And show me as abstaining on A1.
And you heard that. Show. All right. Next we'll move to our reading. No, we did pull 17. No, we didn't.
If not, show me as voting no on 7.
Okay. You get all that? Okay. You're correct. Commissioner Dickey will be shown as abstaining on A1, voting no on 17. Court orders 13 to 35 and A1 passed with pulling 14, 18, and 22. Passed. We'll now reconvene in public session recess for a briefing session, to consider items to be considered in the subsequent session. Mr. Martin, will you lead that session?
Morning, Judge Commissioners. Would you want to start with the addendum, which was also Court Order number 22 for that discussion? Which is the tax tower.
There. Number 22, Judge, we have two speakers.
Oh, you want speakers first or brief first?
Brief first.
Yeah, why don't we brief first? This is an item that was put forward a week ago. We held it last week and was asked to bring back. We did not have a briefing agenda item on it. Such time, Mr. Steve, after a request from Commissioner Price, did bring a briefing item on this item, and he's here to speak on that item if you'd like, Commissioner.
Is this the briefing?
Yeah, but this is a briefing from
Is
the
that
staff.
right?
It is a briefing from Mr. Steve. It did not come from staff.
I filed a briefing agenda last week, and we are briefing and putting the court order on the same day, and explain the rationale for that, because we want to be sure these medical lives in Dallas County continue to be coverage, and so time is of the essence. So we did both of them today.
Let me ask that. Who prepared the briefing?
Mr. Steve did. Staff did not prepare the briefing.
How often do we have individuals who submit, prepare the briefing?
Actually, the briefing was submitted with my help and my staff's help. Mr. Steves did it because he is the expert in this area, so I wanted to be sure and have his input on it.
Well, the fact of the matter is, Mr. Steve didn't even know about the briefing until he talked to me, and I told him at that particular time we did not have a briefing.
And we filed that within 72 hours.
And that staff needed to follow through. There's a lot of things that are not answered with regard to this briefing that staff ordinarily would have brought forward, and it's not in it. But, I'll let him speak, and then again, who would ordinarily prepare this in terms of staff, in terms of what the court had expectations with regards to a briefing?
Normally staff would. And this was something that occurred back in 2007. It was being reintroduced now because of change in direction. I was not familiar with it. I'm not sure if staff was, but Mr. Steve was contacted again by your office and was asked to, I guess through Commissioner Dickey's office, was asked to put together some sort of briefing. But again, this is not something that we were aware of.
Right. And you'll talk about, yeah, okay, I'll let him speak and then
As you're coming up, let me get something from you, sir. When you say change the direction, are you talking about the change from one entity to another for the insurance purposes?
That is my understanding. That is my understanding.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And we
One
are,
organization, I believe, is going defunct and is now being taken over by another.
we are simply dissolving this organization in Dallas County and moving it over to the Central Texas organization, and in so doing, the people who have been insured under this program, which is only about 13 people, this will ensure that their lives continue to be covered under health insurance, the health insurance program.
So the full breadth of this briefing is about 13 people?
Yes, that's correct.
Anyway, I'll let you speak.
And I'd like to introduce Mr. Jim Rodriguez, and he's the president and CEO of the 3-share plan in Middle Texas, in Central Texas, out of Austin. And they have had a very successful program, in fact, the most successful statewide program. So we would be moving our program, which would be dissolving, into their program, so these 13 lives could continue to be covered.
And Mr. Steve, before you speak, just as a matter of course, we always see this, we'll have to read the rules of the court for public speakers.
All Commissioners Court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors and registered speakers are to preserve order and decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during this public meeting. Any and all applause is to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and/or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided in the State of Texas Penal Code, Sections 38.13, 42.01, and 42.05. Registered individual speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion on any one topic is limited to 30 minutes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please, go ahead. Good to see you.
Commissioners, my name is Don Spies, 3 Holscher Court, Dallas, Texas, and with me is Mr. Rodriguez from the Central Texas plant. He is also a registered speaker, so I would ask that he gets his 3 minutes as well, if you would, please.
Absolutely.
The organization, North Texas Street Share Plan, which we used as for a period of time, is a 501c organization. It was established in 2006. We received a court order from this court in 2007 to be the organization to provide a 3-share benefit plan in Dallas County. This is a program of subsidized health care for low-wage employees of small employers. We were only able to engage the Dallas County Hospital District in the program. And the program does require a premium payment from both the employer and the employee. And unfortunately, as we went out looking to get people, we contacted some 23,000 small businesses and discovered about 4,000 did not have health care coverage. When we said you have to pay a premium, even though it was a small premium, but the only thing is you have to go through the Dallas County Hospital District using the COPC, the Parkland Hospital. People said, I can go there for free, I don't want to go, I've seen the lines, et cetera, et cetera. And we were able eventually to get 5 employers to participate. We had 21 people in the program. 2 of the employers have dropped out, so we're now down to just 3 with the 13 employees in the program. And it is just not reasonable and sustainable for us to continue on this basis. In the meantime, the Central Texas program, where there is no district hospital, has been quite successful, and I'd like Mr. Rodriguez to speak to that, but they can absorb this group, and in fact, they could expand to more small employers in Dallas County. So all we're asking is that the court order that was issued in 2007 that allowed us to be the ones to offer the 3-share program be changed to allow Central Texas to offer the 3-share program in Dallas County. And with that, I'd like to turn it over, please, to Mr. Rodriguez.
Before you turn it over to him, you've been around the run. Why did it take 4 years with 21 people for you to come back and talk about dissolution?
Didn't take quite the 4 years. We got the resolution in 2007. Then that allowed us to be able to apply for state funds and from both the Texas Department of Insurance and Health and Human Services. That then took a while because you know how long these grants take from the time you write them until the time you get them. And so we actually never went active to be able to put people in the program until September of last year. So we started soliciting in July of last year for people to get into the program, but we're never able to actually get the providers in place and be able to provide the services until September 1st of last year. So we've been working on this for actually soliciting participation for about 15 months, and we have just not had.
What's the value of the grant?
The value of the grants, they were combined grants between all of the coalition of the group, and there was about 900,000 in one and $3 million altogether on the other. We have not spent that money. That money will be that we were supposed to spend will be transferred to the coalition or back to, if you will, the Texas Department of Insurance. We never actually received it, but they will help be able to distribute to other members of the coalition.
So you never received it?
Well, we received some money, but we did not receive the full amounts of the grant that we applied for. What did we receive? Commissioner, I couldn't tell you precisely, but I would say it was about $300,000.
21 people.
Yes, sir. That was we had the administration had to set up. We had to do the accounting. We had a lot of backroom work that had to be done in order for this to get accomplished. And there was a lot of
See,
marketing efforts and that sort of thing that we had to do.
See, that's what's see, that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of, and again, when you called me earlier, I told you, I said, that's the kind of query that's not here. It's not present. If you got a $900,000 grant, so 300,000, you've been doing 15 months, 21 people, you're down to 13 people. I just find out that's really interesting. Of course, 900,000 just out of 3 million, 300,000 for 21 people.
That's why we're resolving the problem.
That's why, exactly.
Well, yeah, I understand that now, but I'm just saying how, again,
we did not want to eat away at any more of the money. We realized it was quite obvious that we were not going to be able to continue to be a sustainable program. And we decided we needed to cut the cord. And so in May, our board presented the information to the board in April of the lack of success we were having. In May, the board agreed that we should go through a transition plan and dissolve, and we are in the process of dissolving, and we'll have to dissolve before the year is over.
I didn't see it.
Who's our board? I have a Dr. Warren Pagano, Chip Pagano, Tyree Collier, who's an attorney, Dr. Richard Scotch from the University of Texas at Dallas, Dean McGee, who's a forensic accountant. I think I'm forgetting one person, but they're five-member board.
Okay, so you're basically saying that you spent a third of the money.
And we didn't get what we wanted. And there's no point in spending the rest of the money and not getting what we want.
Do you have those costs again? Staff. Without the preparation, with that 300,000 on the breakdown, I saw some of this stuff subtotals and also. Yeah. Do you have a breakdown?
I do not have it with me, sir. I mean, we had to obviously provide it to the state because they asked us precisely how the money was spent. I mean, we had brochures we had to publish. We did a telemarketing campaign. We used a professional telemarketing firm. We did mailings. We did all sorts of things to get the word out to the community.
But you did that through this court. You used this court as a portal to basically bless it, and we haven't seen any of that. That's again back to that briefing. We haven't seen any of it.
I got a question that's come up just from this. We're not saying that when we do this, or if we do this, that $600,000 of some of the money will transfer to, or are we saying that $600,000 left of grants and transfer to Texas?
No, not necessarily. Texas Department of Insurance gave a grant of $3 million to the coalition. That was the 5 organizations in the state of Texas that were providing 3-share plans. That was El Paso, Central Texas, Harris County, Brazos Valley, and North Texas. Dallas County, basically. In order for us to be able to participate in that grant, we had to get the court order, which we got in 2007. And then we went out, as I said, and did the things we had to do in order to market this program and do the community outreach and all the rest of it required. And we realized that we were not going to be successful.
No, I totally appreciate that, and I understand where you're coming from. I just want to make sure, and I think the answer is, if we do this and we switch it to Texas Health, that $600,000 might be eligible through the Department of Insurance for them, or Brazos, or somebody else might get it, but there's nothing that we would be voting on that would direct money.
That is correct.
That's
exactly right, sir.
Thank you.
I'd like to at least hear what about the success that Jim has had in Central Texas and the difference between what we were trying to do and what he has been able to accomplish.
All right. Yeah, please come forward. Jim, nice to see you.
My name is Jim Rodriguez. I'm with TexHealth Central Texas, and I live in Austin, Texas. Just want to make it very clear that when we went into this endeavor, we did it as a coalition. And everybody is working together to try and make everyone else successful. we knew that because of the model that was set up here in Dallas, that there was a likelihood it would not succeed. And we've all pitched in and helped Don as much as we possibly could to try and make it a success. When Don decided to basically pull the plug, we thought probably that was a prudent decision. And it's not that we wanted his money, but we knew that money would be redistributed or could be redistributed. But going forward, Tex Health Central Texas, who has been successful, being the largest 3-share plan in Texas and the 3rd largest in the United States, we recognize that we can come here and use that money that was earmarked for Dallas citizens. And that's what we intend to do. We have in Dallas County approximately 30,000 businesses that are between 1 and 5 employees. And many of those businesses are uninsured. I don't know if you know this or not, but we do not compete with insurance companies. And the way we don't compete with them is that you cannot have had group health insurance coverage for the past 12 months in order to qualify for our program. So we're not here to compete with the commercial insurers. What we're here to do is to get people into the insurance world by this kind of a bootstrap approach. And so what we do is we get them into this subsidized program where they do not pay the full cost of the program, they pay a third of it, and then we get those folks involved so that they know what the insurance world is about. They start to taste what it's like to have a coverage, to be able to go see a primary care physician as opposed to waiting until they can't stand it anymore and then rushing to the emergency room. We've demonstrated in Galveston County, which is the first program I started here in Texas, we demonstrated that the number of emergency room visits dropped precipitously once a member was on the 3-share program, and the number of clinic visits rose significantly. So we saw that we were able to accomplish our goals, which one was to take the enormous amount of resources that were being dedicated to emergency rooms through county hospitals and redistribute that. And we felt that was very successful.
But Mr. Rodriguez.
Yes, sir.
None of the information changed with regards to Dallas. We had a hospital district. You guys don't have in Central Texas. So what information changed when you assembled the coalition that would make you think that that program would have any model of success in Dallas County?
Sir, we did not address that necessarily in the very beginning. Each particular community developed its own model. For example, the Dallas County model is different than the Central Texas model. In Central Texas, we use United Healthcare as our third-party administrator, so we're in partnership with them to provide a huge network, which is something that was not done here in Dallas for a number of legitimate reasons. So we, like I said before, we basically tried to help as much as we possibly could, but each community developed their own model.
But you have not developed the model yet? Because I understood you have a model already.
We do have a model. Yes, we do. And it's a very successful model. And our model is...
In Dallas?
Yes. Because we use United Healthcare, and United Healthcare has a large...
in Dallas.
Yes.
In Austin.
Yes, but we also have United Healthcare in Dallas, because Dallas is statewide, or United Healthcare is statewide, so they can cover anywhere in the state of Texas.
Okay, because what you're asking, if I understood correctly, is for the court to help you transfer the available funds to the central region, but you will still keep the model and most of the funds here in Dallas, Texas, correct?
Correct.
But you are not transferring, the funds will go back to Texas Insurance Agency, and that will not, and we don't have, you all don't have any control over those funds.
The Texas Department of Insurance has given a grant to the whole coalition, and so we've divided that up based on populations. So in Central Texas, we had an amount that was comparable to Dallas. Okay, so what we did when Dallas decided to fold their tents is we redistributed that money from this last grant, which ended August 31st, and we have a new grant starting September 1st. So what we want to do is take that money that's earmarked for Dallas and through the Tex Health Central Texas administration, be able to provide that to the Dallas County residents by bringing our model here, enrolling them in our program. But it will be based in Dallas. It will not be based in Austin, Texas. It will be based here in
So
Dallas.
you are essentially doing two things. You're going to use that grant to cover the lives, the 13 lives that are presently covered, and you hope to grow the program in
Correct.
Dallas for Dallas citizens.
And the Texas Department of Insurance has informed us that they would like to see your organization, your court, approve what we're doing here. They have said that they would like to see us take those 13 members that are currently on the Tex Health program, transfer them into our program so that we can continue providing them coverage. And we've asked them if we can expand to this area, and they said yes, but you have to have the Commissioner's Court approval.
I have not received any word.
I'd like to say that.
Have we received anything?
This is something that they told us just recently when we appealed to them to expand our program here and take over the 13 members.
Go ahead.
I just find, again, first of all, this court order was put on the unless you're not cool with last week. Could have been anybody else, they've been great. And then all of a sudden, we come with a briefing, and we still got the query because none of that information is presented to us.
I apologize for that, sir. I wasn't
Well,
aware
had
of
I
that.
not talked to Mr. Smith, and I have a lot of respect for Mr. Smith, and he's worked, with this court forward. It's just that, you put something on, and the same people who complain about court orders and same-day briefings, we don't even get a briefing. We just got a court order, so we pulled it. So then when I talked to Mr. Steve, returned his call, I get something that resembles a briefing. And the kind of information we have is the kind of information that staff usually covers in terms of a briefing. And I just, again, I'm still back to 15 months, $300,000. You're going to take the $900,000, you're going to migrate the 13 people into the program, and you plan to grow it. Mr. Speed is going to, at least I'm requesting that whatever that $300,000, for I want to see an inventory of it. He said he did it on telemarketing, brochures, all of that. I want to see it, show administrative costs. But I just found it real peculiar, and I don't know what United is going to do differently because we still have a hospital district here. And that was I thought that was one of the barriers. So,
may I address that?
Sure.
One of the differences, and the big difference is, that the only way we were able to get this program established in Dallas County was that people went through the hospital district. In Central Texas, they used United Health as a third-party administrator, and they have a large footprint here in Dallas County, and people will be able to go to other providers. They won't have to go through Dallas County Hospital District. They can go to any provider that's willing to take them, just like you or me. When we look for a provider, a doctor, a medical home, they can go to Baylor Hospital, they can go to Methodist Hospital. They'll be able to go to a wide variety of organizations, which we were not able to do because the only support we got for our program here when we established it was through the Dallas County Hospital District.
And all that sounds good, I guess, in hindsight. But was United the third-party vendor when y'all began the coalition?
No, in our case, it was an organization called UMR, and UMR is all they do is third-party administration work. They now have been purchased, incidentally, by United Healthcare, coincidentally. But the problem is not that the vendor is. The problem is when we started, we needed some administrative support. And the only place that was willing to give us that administrative support was the Dallas County Hospital District. I could not get it from Baylor, I could not get it from Methodist, I could not get it from Presbyterian or any of the rest of them. Only Dr. Anderson and the group and the board of the Dallas Parkland Hospital Board of Managers was able to give us any administrative support. And so that's when they said, but the deal is if we did give the administrative support, then our hospital, you got to come through our system. Hence, we went out and tried to sell the concept to the people, but people said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I've been to those clinics. I've seen the lines.
It's not a contract. They just wanted a resolution.
Want a resolution, which is a prerequisite for you being in this area, correct?
Well, it's, the statute itself stipulates that the Commissioners Court can participate in the designation of a three-shirt plan. It doesn't say it has to, but it says it can. So TDI, Texas Department of Insurance, decided to interpret that as they required it from us.
Well, did they say specifically you, or, and I like the group, I like everything I've seen through the group, I'm just trying to get information. Did they say you, or did they say one of the five, Brazos, Valley, or Hughes?
They said us specifically.
Okay. It looks like to me, and I think it's a great plan, because as I understand it from our meeting, you're going to be able now for people to go to the doctors and Methodist or Baylor, wherever they want. And that's great. But it sounds like we are by signing this order, we are, for lack of a better word, awarding two things of value to you. And so I'm wondering if we don't have to go through it can be quick with some sort of an RFP or RFQ or something to give others an opportunity to get that value. One, we're putting you in a position to get at that $600,000. And two, you talked about 30,000 small businesses with 1 to 5 employees. That's a potential capitation group of 150,000 people. You won't reach that, but you may know based on what you've done in your other region in Central Texas, what your saturation rate has been. But clearly in insurance, as Dawn has pointed out, it's a number situation where you cannot make money and be successful without large numbers of insurers to share the risk. And if we are greatly increasing your pool, that sounds of value too. Now, I'm not asking you to pay for that. What I'm saying is to be transparent. If I've got 3 companies out there who want to propose on that, but they don't know about it, how is it okay for us to just do this without going through the process? And I want to balance that because I like your company. I'm not against your company at all. I want to balance that with, we've got timelines here to get these, to miss the plan year, I suppose, right? So can you either speak to that today or get with staff so we can get through this and get it done?
Yes, sir. I can tell you that there's no one in the coalition, and the coalition is the only approved bodies currently that can offer a 3-shirt plan in the state of Texas.
Would it be within keeping it?
Nonprofits can offer a 3-shirt plan if they choose to do that. The ones that we currently have in the coalition are the only ones who have actually set up a 3-shirt plan. In working with our coalition partners, everyone agrees that the Central Texas program is the one that would make the most sense to come here to Dallas.
Could we get a signature, whatever it would be, 5-signature, 4-signature letter from all the people that are currently in the plan? Would that satisfy our transparency policy, that everyone is in agreement this is the best move for Dallas?
Well, the insurance, I want the guy from
and that's why I'd like to recommend is that we hold this for some time. Let staff get together with these 2 gentlemen, get some information from TDI, because I'm not familiar with the program enough to know what is appropriate, what's not. Let us come back with another full briefing to you that explains the model that these guys are recommending, whether that's a model TDI supports, recommendation of TDI that we get this quarter, and then a breakdown of the budget that Commissioner Price was asking of $300,000.
What's your timeline, Jim, to get our Dallas County people in your plan here?
Well, the transfer of the individuals that are currently covered by the North Dallas program started September 1st. So technically, they don't have any subsidy unless we get approved by TDI.
And we have it for next week.
Yes, I'll work
that
next
possible?
week. Yeah, we'll get it.
Because I believe that what you're saying makes sense. Okay, transferring to a central organization that has experience and can bring the network of providers that a private small business will select. So in my mind, I just want to say, I think Commissioner Price has a great point about expenses, how you're going to put it together, how you're going to deliver the services. And I see it as a great opportunity for Dallas County small businesses. So, Mr. Martin,
We will get with both these gentlemen and talk with TDI and have something on for next week.
And whatever staff recommends, I'd like to take advantage of the opportunity, but also make sure that we follow our transparency and ethics policy on bidding this out to the extent that it has to be bid out. And I'm just wondering, given the unique situation here, if we could not accomplish that by having TDI and the other, whatever it is, three share plans, write us a letter and say, we're the only people who do this, and we all think it needs to be.
They're not the only people, nonprofits do it.
And you're not doing it.
I understand, but that's not the only one.
Well, and that if that's true, then we might have to open it up for however amount of time. But can you all look at that and tell us, I want to do whatever.
The only for that is that these people will not be covered after this month. So it does need to, time is of the essence.
Right.
And we don't want to, as was explained to me last week, we don't want to lapse in their insurance because of pre-existing conditions.
And Jim, let me ask you this as well. Let's say that you start, I assume you're going to want to market this and you're going to want to bring more people in. That's the Texas Health benefit. Right? So you bring somebody in let's say February. They can be covered right then in February. They don't have to wait until re-enrollment in September because they'd be new, right?
Correct.
Okay, great.
They'll be on a plan year, 12-month plan year.
So our concern with September 1 is those 32, right? Okay. And Darryl, we've got a balance. I want to protect the 13 people, but I want to do this right. And I want to follow our ethics policy. And by saying that, guys, I don't mean that you guys are anything but good guys. You guys are doing a great thing. It's a very laudable thing. We just got a bidding notice ethics thing that we have to make sure we follow. But it's not at all a reflection or a concern with either of you individually or the companies.
And Judge, I think you make a good point. And if you want to keep on balance, that we do want to do it the right way, and that the court understands it, because obviously this happened before some of you were on the court. But also, this is an insurance vehicle for people that are small employers, because small employers just can't afford to have high group insurance. And so this is something that was come up with some years ago because it was a way to help small employers. Unfortunately, the perception here in Dallas was that, why do I need insurance? I can go to Parkland Hospital. And for the other hospitals, that we tried very diligently to go see and to ask them to participate, didn't want to, then that kind of killed it. And so we had a chance to grow this kind of from another direction, but still have a chance to help small employers in Dallas so their employees don't have to go uninsured. And so their employees can have a medical home, which if they just go to Parkland, they perceive it's for free, they see the long lines, but they can go any place and they could have a medical home this way.
I want to commend Commissioner Dickey as well for her leadership on this. When this started, I think they officed out of your road and bridge fund.
They did for years, and we and Don worked. This sounds like a tale of woe. I'll tell you something. Don has worked for at least 5 years on this, and it was just the buy-in and getting. Whereas they don't have a public hospital in Central Texas, and so we didn't have that issue.
13 people, 300,000.
I hope that in the briefing you also can include the how many clients they have right now in the Central region.
That's fine. It took 300,000, 31 people.
But now they have a different law.
Do we have, Yes, sir.
The question was how many clients we have in Central Texas. We have over 230 businesses, which represents over 900 small employees. So 900 employees.
And you're hoping to have about, since we're the same population size, about that same success here?
Correct. We anticipate that we can also enter this market and basically have the same track record.
And we'll be able to utilize, though, all of the hospitals and the doctors. Thank you all.
We have a direction. We'll have a brief over next week. We'll be in touch with Mr. Rodriguez and Mr. Speak to have something over next week.
Thank you.
Item 1, Health and Human Services. 1A, recommends approval of fiscal year 2012 Department of State Health Services contract local public health system. 1B, recommends approval of the sub of the Department of State Health Services contract immunization branch local. Item 1C, recommends approval of the mosquito control for the local agreements with the city of Cedar Hill and Duncanville Grant Program for Item 1D, recommends approval of Ryan White HWH Treatment Extension Act of 2009, Part A Supplemental Grant for the Dallas EMA. Item 1E, recommends approval of food inspection interlocal agreement with cities listed in your briefing. Yes.
Mr. Banky, can I ask just a question for Mr. Thompson for the record? The other day, we got an email about asking when was Dallas County was going to take the responsibility of food establishment inspections. And I would like for Mr. Thompson just to say how the program works for clarity of some of the members of the media as well as citizens of Dallas, because this is a partnership between the city and the county. And I want that to be very clear.
Well, historically, we have worked with our cities in terms of their inspection needs. You'll see that we've had a long existing contract with the city mentioned in this particular briefing. What we would do is work with those cities. Oftentimes, they don't have certified food inspectors on staff, registered sanitarians, and our staff are able to go out and contract with those cities to perform a minimum of 3 inspections. You'll see when we talk about 2 inspections with the maximum being 3. That's based on state law. So if there's a specific city, and we know with different cutbacks with cities, if they want to contract with us, they can just contact us at Dallas County Health and Human Services, and we're willing to sit down with them. But the key element in here is that we're doing 2 things. We have registered sanitarians, and then we offer the food inspection classes that we're seeing a lot of our neighboring small businesses utilizing for making sure that they have a qualified staff available every 24 hours.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you.
Item 1F, recommends approval of agreement with the city of Cedar Hill for mosquito testing. I have one travel bring up for the Department of Health and Human Services for staff that attend the Quality Control Conference and Weatherization Assistance Program. This is being funded out of grant funds. Item 2, Public Works. Recommends approval of the attached innovation agreement with H.W. Lockman for the IDIQ contract for engineering services. Item 3, Commissioners Court Administration. You have recommended approval of the proposed 2012 holiday schedule, taking out the one holiday, which is a personal holiday.
May I insert one thing for this court, and that is, it would be really nice if this court could decide on what our holidays, our additional holidays are soon, so we could all make plans.
Oh, I agree.
Because this year it kind of happened at the last minute, and personally, I didn't know there was going to be holidays, so it would be nice to plan. Well, when we had the weeks in July, we didn't finalize that.
Hopefully, we won't do that.
That wasn't no holiday. I just understand. I mean, the majority of the court, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, but those were holidays.
If the majority of the court decides to take some vacation.
That's what I said. Y'all scouted. Y'all vacation. Most of them on vacation all the time. But anyway, that's another story.
And I think, I hear what you're saying. I think today is the actual holidays that everyone is not referred to.
These are the county holidays.
Right, the ones we always have. But what Commissioner Dickey is speaking to is, or weeks that the court does not meet. And I agree that we need to get that done soon so that everybody knows well ahead of time when the court does not.
Well, after all that took place, I would think that we wouldn't want to do that again. All the different events that took place. people not getting information, things not getting done.
Or that's not, that's it.
Combined now, they can take.
I will be discussing that with staff, with Commissioner's Court and staff.
Whatever.
Did the department head get a chance to look at that? No, yeah, at least they did work.
And again, those are not holidays, those are weeks that we don't meet, so if you want to take your vacation time, it allows you to do that, and allows us to catch up on other business, other than the business that we have to focus on, to come in there for these meetings. But we'll have a vote on that, we'll discuss that, and have a vote on that. I think that's it.
Item 4, budget. 4A, conference travel training request. 4B, a higher increase in assessment in the county clerk, JP 1-2, and the tax assessor collection. Item 4C, recommend approval of professional services contract with Julia Payne and Everett Hinton. I believe the district attorney is here to speak on that, but before he does, I'll finish the briefing, then we'll call him back up. Item 4D, recommend elimination of the full-time deputy sheriff bailiff and the creation of a civil court clerk to perform bailiff services in the 301st Family District Court.
Wait. Where's the sheriff?
She's right there.
Is she there? Sarah, stand up.
Yes, sir.
Well,
You got one of my favorite court reporters when they're out there.
in Christ, just, I'm trying to Thank you. I want to thank you. We'll be done with the last gets there. Thank you. I mean,
Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, it speaks for itself.
Hey, savings hustle.
Yeah, thank you. It speaks for itself. I just want to thank you.
Well, and I can assure you that the safety of those who come into the 301st will be taken care of, and we're just looking forward to being able to save the county this $11,575.
That's now.
Judge, before you sit down, that aspect of safety, will this person be carrying a weapon or?
Yes.
Okay, so, and we don't know yet.
Will be a law enforcement person.
Be a law enforcement person.
Certified.
And they'll communicate with the other bailiffs, and be able to assist, since they're certified law enforcement, if there's a problem in the court next door, right?
Absolutely.
I want to have the sheriff come forward.
Sure, okay, but it's your, I understand if they won't be under the sheriff's command, but if the sheriff, help is needed, they need to be well visible.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, well, yes, Judge, please come forward and give us your thoughts.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news to all of you. I speak on behalf of at least the majority of the Family District Court judges in opposition to this proposition.
Would you please give your name?
My name is Denise Garcia. I'm the presiding judge of the Family Court. Judge Cherry did not inform the other Family Court judges of this proposal when she made it to the Commissioner's Court. And the judges that I was able to contact this morning to talk about this have said they've come out in opposition. And the reason is, here's, I understand.
Okay.
The problem is that security is a matter of links, and we're all tied together. There's no security from courtroom to courtroom. Once you get in the back, once you get in one of the courtrooms, you have access to the entire courthouse. And that's the problem. And technically, you're right, she doesn't have to consult with any of us. But as a matter of security, it makes sense to consult with the rest of us, particularly since the family courts are the most volatile courts in the courthouse. And I think all of the judges in Dallas County would agree with that. The problem comes in as well that we have contempt cases where people are placed in jail either for failing to follow a court's order, for failure to turn over a child, failure to comply with court-ordered visitation, child support. A clerk cannot make those arrests, cannot process those prisoners. And those prisoners have to be taken from the courtroom out to the jail. A clerk cannot do that. On top of this, this analysis is just wrong. With all due respect to Mr. Brown, Judge Sherry does not have a full-time bailiff. She's supposed to be using a part-time bailiff for like the rest of us, which means that once you leave the bench, you send your bailiff back. So the analysis that reflects a $58,439 replacement is not correct. And I would be interested to know what Judge Cherry's actual cost, since we've moved to part-time bailiffs, is compared to this $48,864 full-time employee being brought in with benefits and salary. And if I'm not mistaken, and again, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this, if I'm not mistaken, somebody who comes in to the courthouse armed is not allowed to come into the courthouse armed. The only armed people allowed in the courthouse are the deputies. And there's a very good reason for that. I think I would defer to Sheriff Valdez if she has something to say about that. But that's essentially where we're coming down from the family court judges. I've talked to Judge Lowy, and I think he concurs. The civil district judges agree that decreasing security in one of the most volatile points in the courthouse renders all of us unsafe. And it's an unsafe
We heard
place.
that with Judge Tolley when he came.
Judge Garcia,
I'm not finished. I'm not finished. We heard that with Judge Tolley when he came forward. He's been there all this time. He's had Ryan, we did the calculation.
Each elected official who is a judge is authorized with one full-time bailiff, with the exception of Judge Tillery, because he is on with civilian, and the exception of the felony district courts, which is actually authorized two. It is within the discretion of the sheriff's office to allocate their resources any way they choose. So at any given point in time, they may actually be using a part-time pool bailiff.
That's the reality. We're all using part-time pool bailiffs.
The majority of the time, I think if you can walk through that courthouse and you'll see that those pool bailiffs are not being returned when the court's not in session, that they're sitting in the courtroom. It could be because they're waiting for an afternoon session. It could be waiting for attorneys and clients. It could be for any number of reasons. But historically and practically, you'll walk through that courthouse and you'll see that. To the point that I've had court coordinators call me and say, hey, the judge is on vacation. Why is the bailiff still sitting in there? And I've gone over there and talked about it. And then what you get is that the bailiff says, I'm authorized to be here. I'm going to be here. And so it is an ongoing area of concern, the actual supervision of these individuals in the aspect that they work at the pleasure of the judge, but they're actually supervised by the sheriff's office. The civilian bailiff is a productive, works well. They report directly to the judge. They're hired by the judge, and they provide anything that the judge needs. It does have a savings, and I will continue to say that.
well, in the past, I had been a licensed forensic social worker, and I can say that I can remember when we had a shooting up in the family courts some years ago, and I will have to say that in my experience, which was several years, that that's the most volatile courts. And although I appreciate Judge Cherry in wanting to save money for the county, and thank you, that's a very kind move on your part. But I agree with you, Judge Garcia, that these courts, above all of them, bring the emotions out in people's divorces and child custody situations. And I think even though you may not have seen that kind of stress in maybe your present court, it's going to happen.
I see it at least on a weekly basis.
I bet you do.
And to speak to Mr. Brown's assertion that the sheriff's deputies are still in the courtroom after a judge is on the bench, I can't speak to other courts. I can speak to my own. If I'm not on the bench and I don't have a docket, I send the bailiffs away. And I think everybody can attest to that's my practice. And they don't hang around if I don't make them hang around.
And we appreciate that, Judge Garcia. That's you. And that's what Judge Cherry said.
And the thing is Judge Cherry could herself, if she's not on the bench, say, I don't need a deputy. There's a contact on the bench. So if that's exactly what she does, then this analysis is incorrect.
There are other factors.
Because what he's accounting for is a full-time bailiff, which is what she does not use. And in replacing a full-time salaried employee with benefits with someone who's part-time, you've got this analysis wrong. It's not $11,000 savings. It may be a net cost to the county.
Before the sheriff comes forward, Ryan, I want to get something straight in my mind from what she said. My understanding when we moved to part-time bailiffs, projected savings, I think, was $21,000 per court that does that. What you're saying, since
there's some of the bailiffs, for reasons we need to figure out, are sitting in there even though there's no court. We're not actually seeing that savings.
I'd like to see when that actually happened. Actually, we became aware of that. They did inform us of that. In January, we did a whole restructure of that system, and we had discussions with the judges about it. And according to our records, since we started that in February, we've saved an average of $26,000 a month since we made this new change.
And is that a record that you also have, or is your numbers different?
What you're going to have is the confusion between a budgetary savings and a practical savings. Right now, the sheriff's office has 28 vacancies. Those vacancies are spread throughout their entire operation. Some of them are in bailiffs. So if you have a full-time position that's vacant and you're using a part-timer, there is a savings in that usage. But at any given point in time, that full-time position can be filled. And if it becomes filled, then you have the additional cost. So I mean, it's just the practical nature of, I'm looking at a budgetary savings of $11,000. There may be a practical operational change that results in it not being the full $11,000. But this isn't a practice that we're saying that every court should do or we're making them do. This is a court who chooses to do this wholly and completely at their choice, the same as Judge Hillary. The sheriff by statute is required to bailiff the courts. But if the judge says, I do not want a sheriff bailiff, I prefer to go this route, I believe it's within the discretion of the judiciary for them to do so.
I guess my question is, and I understand that, and we've got to get that, but my question is a little bit broader. Are you saying that the part-time bailiff plan is not saving us money? And if that's what you're saying, where's that data coming from? Because I've never believed it is.
The part-time bailiff will always save you money just on the basis that they're paid at a lower rate on average than a deputy is. Secondly, they're not provided health insurance. So there's always a savings using the part-time bailiffs. Beyond that, it does get into an operational change of, does the court return the part-time bailiff to the office, and does that bailiff then either go home or relieve a full-timer who needs comp time on the books or something like that? If that occurs, then you have additional savings. If it doesn't occur for a variety of operational reasons, then the savings is less. So it all depends on the true operation of the court.
Okay, and then that's...
And since February, we looked at that and we reorganized the whole thing so that our supervisors actually go and check to make sure that the bailiff is either doing what he's supposed to do or out of there. And we have saved $26,000 a month just by reorganizing when the bailiffs come in.
Bailiffs alone, right?
Yes, this is just on scheduling. This is not anything, it's just on scheduling because we have made sure that those bailiffs are no longer sitting in the courtroom.
You don't have that data yet, apparently.
I have not seen the specific data on that, but the reality of that is I could go walk through the court on any given day and I'll see whether or not I see bailiffs in a courtroom that is empty.
Can you please?
I have no problem with that.
I don't disagree with what the sheriff is saying. I'm just saying that this is an option of one way to go that the court, the specific court is asked to do.
Well, Sheriff, let me hear how you integrate private bailiffs into your organization if something doesn't.
Well, the only issue we have with that is brought by the legislature. We're mandated for liability. I am asking if she wants to do this, take away our liability and put it on them. Training, evaluation. There was a third thing. I can't remember what it was, but there's 3 or 4 things. There's 4 things that go with that: liability, training, evaluation, absence, and all of that needs to be taken by them and not by us. We check with our attorney and the county attorney.
Okay, assuming that happens, how does that integrate with, let's say that somebody gets held in contempt and they have to go to a whole other state?
That's going to be a problem. We also, we've already set up a waiver that we're asking her to sign. And one of the issues is we can't respond as quickly because it's not going to be one of our people making the connection there. So we can't respond as quickly to her court.
Communication? Are they going to have the same type of radio?
No, there will not be any communication between us and them. The only communication will have to be is somebody will have to pick up the phone and call.
How have you worked out with Judge Tiller?
There still is not a family court.
No, I understand. But did you set up an operating procedure?
He can call. He can call.
So
Just
none
on
of
the
that's been
telephone.
set up yet?
No.
Okay.
He can call. It's not a family court, so there wasn't as much concern on that. But he can pick up the phone and call, and that will be the same thing. So there will be a time lapse between us responding to that.
Which is which will be in the memorandum of understanding.
Yes,
that the
that
judge
needs to be on there.
requested to
It
sign.
isn't.
Judge Sherry, have you seen that?
She's not yet, because that was something that came up late last week. Once we started discussing this, we decided that it made sense for there to be an understanding between the sheriff's office and the court. Something we didn't do with Judge Tillery, but as we've seen more courts wanting to do this, we felt that it was prudent on our part to enter into an understanding with the judges saying, I understand the concerns that other people have about training, scheduling, issues that may occur in my court, and therefore I recognize that I will have, there may be a small delay in responding to something in my court.
One thing that I'm not sure that the court understands is that with our part-time bailiffs right now, for instance, the gentleman that I have who is a retired Holland Park police officer, has been in the military, has almost 40-something years of experience. What happens invariably with him is that halfway through a trial, someone will come in and tap on his shoulder. He has to pack up and leave while we are in the process of a trial. Last week alone, there was one particular day where I had 3 different bailiffs. There is absolutely no continuity, which brought me to the point that not only could I save money, but by having a full-time person who is familiar with the processes of the 301st Court, and yes, the person that I intend to hire absolutely has training, experience, knows how to watch the court, can be of assistance to everyone else. And just like recently, whenever there was a free-for-all in front of the 330th, we all punched the little button underneath our desk, which hopefully works most of the time, and we had bailiffs from all over the place coming up there, and my bailiff also went and helped. So by having a person who is in the 301st all the time, who I am familiar with, who understands the operations of my court, of the court coordinator, the court reporter, my associate judge, that person I think will be much safer than us using multiple people coming in all the time, because what happens with my current bailiff, as I said, we will be Wednesday and they will be projecting that he will be using too much time for the week, so the full-time bailiffs from the civil courts are then brought down. They are not familiar with the processes of the family court, which does make it very, very problematic and unsafe the way we're doing it right now.
What I'm trying to get to is the linkages between your court and the sheriff's people. When you hold somebody in contempt, I'm assuming this is a security officer, that's a licensed security officer.
Absolutely.
So they're not going to be able to take the person in custody, correct?
Yes, they will. They will. I will sign. There's a little.
The definition of custody, it needs to be defined there. They will not be able to take him in custody in the sense of an arrest.
Okay.
But they will be present there. They will provide a physical presence. The person who's in contempt will sit there with them until such time as the sheriff has the capacity to come get them.
And I believe if you were to look at the statistics of the 301st Family District Court, because of the way that we do handle our contempts, in the past 5 years, I've probably only put in less than 10 people in jail.
As long as all those issues are worked out.
So, Sheriff, or you, we've heard from Judge Garcia, but are you against, I understand in a perfect world, you'd like to have all the bailiffs, but are you strongly opposed to this, if she signs the MOU, or are you okay with this?
Well, the liability is my main concern, and the training and how they react in a group situation, how they react to certain things. We all train together, so they know how to do this. And there is a concern. I'm not gonna block it, but there is a concern, and as long as she signs the waivers about all liability, all of that to training, all that goes to her. But we would like to address some statements that she made about the constant change.
When we made this change back in January to move some of the full-time bailiffs and replace them with part-time bailiffs. We changed over. We have 10 full-time bailiffs over at George Allen, 21 part-timers that work. Pardon me?
So the record will be clear.
Chief Joe Costa. I know Sue and I look alike, but Sue will go to the jail or general service. And when we did that, we did that to save some money and also to make sure that we had the same bailiffs in the courthouse that work together all the time, whether they're part-timers or full-timers, so that safety is of our concern. We had some pushback from the judges. I think they found that it's working. It may not be working the way that they like it, where they have a permanent bailiff all the time, but we work out those schedules so that the movements are as minimal as possible. And to change people in the middle of trials, that has happened and they're isolated, but we do not change them if there's a jury in session, if the jury is out, to try and keep that constant flow of that person that's in there. Also, they do get changed if some of them only want to work 3 days a week, and we try to watch those schedules so we keep the same 2 or 3 people in a court, so that we don't change out 5 or 6 people, and they do know the court.
Chief Costa, I can appreciate that, but let me just say, again, I'm going to applaud the chair. This court will remember. We almost ran into a brick wall on legislation. And I think that this going toward the next legislative session gets a chance to better set out the show, as in Judge Tilley.
I would hope that something doesn't happen though when we don't have a full-time police officer.
Something can happen outside. We always hope that. I hear that. And I think the Sheriff's Department is, I think she just said that was something on the 3:30 from all you guys. I mean, she wants an opportunity to try. Let her try.
Well, and if I may say, I don't think this is just about saving money, because the judges are talking about, they're responsible for everyone's safety, not just their own or their staff's, but the people that are there. And I think it's also important. I realize that you seem to have a qualified person that will cost less, but I do think it's important that the judges in a particular court, like the domestic courts, be on the same page about this. And I think they need to work together and not be a maverick about doing things. And I could really be more comfortable, especially in those courts that have increased danger, if you all would come to an agreement together for the safety of the public.
She doesn't have to. She wants to do it. Get yourself.
Well, I can assure everyone that this is a person who has been trained by Sheriff Valdez and who is a law enforcement person. So I am not going out on the street and picking out a homeless person to come up and work in the court. I am choosing someone who is very well qualified.
And I'm not for one moment saying that this isn't a well-qualified person, but it leaves it open for another judge to come in and maybe get somebody that's not as well-qualified. And that concerns me.
And I still have a question. We're jeopardizing the public safety, taking unacceptable risk for what looks like to be savings on paper. We still don't know the practices of this court with regard to the use of part-time bailiffs. This is not going to be a savings to the county. This is effectively going to be a cost to the county in reducing the security of the courthouse. I don't have the numbers in front of me because I haven't, like I said, wasn't prepared to be here today. But I would be interested in looking at the real numbers for this courtroom to see how much time she takes from a part-time bailiff, what that actual cost is for this court, since we're not spreading it out generally to the whole courthouse, to see if you're actually saving money or if we're just hiring a crony.
Most don't. You don't want to go down that road. Let me just tell you, it's her decision.
Who's going to draft the protocols of the interaction between security officers? You are?
Our lawyer's office is already looking at that, and we've got a draft going, but I'd like that signed before you agree to anything.
I'd like to see that too.
I would like to see that as well. I mean, I think Judge Sherry, it's a pilot, it would be a pilot, and when a judge has the can do that, I will grant it to her. But I want to be sure that all the pieces like we've been talking about are connected to each other. That Judge Sherry agrees with the sheriff, that the sheriff has a plan on how to keep the court safe. And of course, Judge Garcia would like to see the numbers, Mr. Brown, on the savings as well. Thank you. Thank you.
And I want to hear from Judge Lowry, because I see he is here before we sit down.
Since my name's been mentioned.
Yeah. And before you start, because I may want you to address a little bit of this, I kind of lean towards, I hear all the concerns and frankly, I share some of the concerns that Sheriff Valdez and Judge Garcia brought up. But I lean towards doing this because I do think it is within your purview to make this decision. The thing that I think is really important here, and this is illustrative of what I'm seeing when I go to these courthouses and I visit with 2 or 3 judges, try to get to 2 or 3, and I'll get to you soon. I've started doing that, trying to go see folks and hear their concerns, and they're all different. And I understand that you're all different elected folks, you've got different ideas, but you have elected Judge Lowy as your leader, and so we've been dealing with Judge Lowy. He's been doing a good job for you. It is so important that y'all come together, and even when you're not agreeing, that you communicate, because as we bring this ACMS system on, it is this technology system in the criminal courts, and as we bring all these things on for our civil courts, and we try to improve IT here, we've got to have some standards, of operation in that. And I know you guys are going to be different on a lot of things, but it's just I would encourage all of you. I wouldn't order you to do it. I can't order you to do it, but I'm encouraging y'all to all go to lunch and talk about this, and see if you can't disagree disagreeably or find some common ground, because it is going to be very important that we can continue to centralize our understanding as we move towards building an IT system that works. Yes, sir.
Let me just try to be very brief in addressing a couple of points. And first, let me say, Judge Sherry absolutely has the right to determine how she's going to run her court. I share Judge Garcia's concern that the family district courts are a very high-risk environment, and it's important that the bailiffs in those courts be a team. I'll defer to Sheriff Valdez and Judge Terry to figure out how they're going to make that work in this particular circumstance. As far as the numbers are concerned, I want to respectfully disagree with the suggestion that you're going to learn anything very useful by walking down the hall of the courthouse at any given time. Some courts may be in recess, some courts may be between dockets. It seems to me that the real evidence is going to be on the timesheets. How many hours are we paying the bailiffs who are working in these courts? Shouldn't be that hard to figure that out. And what I think you're going to find is that in the civil courts, where we've been using a lot more part-time bailiffs, and the family courts as well, that number will be much less than 40 hours a week. And 40 hours a week is what you're going to be paying this person. 40 hours a week is what you're paying a civilian bailiff in Judge Hillary's court.
Which is cheaper.
Certainly it's cheaper than 40 hours for a sheriff's deputy. Whether it's cheaper than what another court may be doing because we're using the part-time bailiffs, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what I did.
No, it is.
Well, the sheriff thinks she's saving some money.
No, it is. It is cheaper, number one. Number two, you didn't support that either.
Well, I don't support it. I didn't support it then. I don't support it now. I don't think there's any other civil court judges planning to go in that direction. But again, that was Judge Hillary's decision. That's right. Whether it's really saving the county money in comparison to what's going on in the other courts right now, something I don't think we've really been shown one way or the other. So,
is it your theory it's flawed, or do you have?
Well, I know that I don't have a bailiff in my courtroom more than about 15 hours a week on average if I'm not in jury trial.
In jury trial, pretty much all the time.
No, none of us are in jury trial all the time.
But I mean, like
it just varies. It may be no jury trial for 2 weeks. It may be one jury trial for a month.
Okay.
And so there's going to be a variance. But a lot of us were also strongly opposed to the part-time bailiff program, and I want to commend the sheriff and her commanders. They've been working with us. There are occasions when we get changes in the middle of a trial that are disconcerting, but they're not really disruptive, to be perfectly honest. But they've been working with us, and I think it's working well. And I hope it's saving us some money because, in a perfect world, we all want to have our own deputy. But we're trying to cooperate. So if this is what Judge Sherry wants to do, and the sheriff can work it out with it, that's fine. I hope that the rest of the court understands that most of the rest of us, the vast majority of the rest of us, don't want to go in this direction. And don't think it's saving us any more money that we can save by working with the sheriff to utilize her deputies more efficiently. That's what we're trying.
And Judge, so I know I've talked to several of you, I know there's not complete uniformity on the part-time bailiffs, but would you say the majority of your folks or the elected judges are accepting and working on this? And
I would say the majority, and I'll also say that it's not something I've been hearing a lot of complaints about. In fact, I really haven't been hearing any complaints about it. Anecdotal, occasionally, but
There's a lot of complaints from the start.
yes, sir. And it's working better than we thought it would. And I'm happy to stand here and admit that. I commend the sheriff for that.
Thank you, sir. Anybody?
Any other questions?
Just consider that lunch idea, guys. We'll see each other. No, I'm just saying, go. Try to work something in. All right.
Item 4E, recommend approval of new assistant district attorney to assist public works and tax assessor collected and cost share between the departments. Item 4F, recommend approval of the deletion of the grade I and third administrative positions and salary adjustments for various positions listed in your brief for an overall savings of over $43,000 in IT. Item 4G, recommend approval of utilizing the grant funding to obtain 20 additional beds from Hometown Nexus for CSCP. That concludes your briefing agenda. I do want to go back to 4C, the district attorney to see the speed on that item, Judge.
I just want to remind in 2007, we came in and asked this court for 68 positions. Obviously, we didn't get that. And we did that for a reason, because we are in the process of moving forward. We want progress and change with the district attorney's office, and we hold true to our responsibility to be accountable to the citizens as it relates to public safety. We look at this from the standpoint of each area of government having a responsibility: public safety, education, and economy. And because we are the leaders of public safety, we want to be in a position to lead. And we've done that for 4 years. Unfortunately, there are some that like to use appearances as their argument as to why they shouldn't do go into a certain direction. And I believe before there was a blog written on Friday concerning these two positions that there was an agreement amongst this court that these two individuals would have been employed, or they would have been contracted with the Dallas County District Attorney's Office. So let's just talk about appearances for a second. My appearance, I'm not going to change. I'm going to look the same. Tomorrow morning, next day, next week, I'm always going to look like this. So I think we're going to have to deal with my appearance for a long time. Well, obviously, someone read it because we have.
Don't worry, I think you look good, man. Go ahead.
Okay. We have unanimous votes before this blog was written. And the reason that we're bringing these individuals on, and I'll explain it to you. One deals with technology, and the other deals with the fact that we need to make sure that the public understands what we actually do. Technology. And what we've been able to do, and since I've been in office, I've made a point of going to the different DA's offices across the country and see what they do to make sure that the public has an understanding of what's going on. And the reason they do that The reason that they are making sure that the public is aware is because they have a responsibility to make sure that they increase their tax base. And we can only do that if we can ensure that people are safe and they want to come here and they move here and they bring their businesses here. So I won't go any further on that, but if you just look at Harris County, the district attorney's office in Houston, they put out a video every year of internet crimes. You look at other counties, they do the same thing.
The district attorney's office is
Yes, they do the same thing. Our DA's office, we don't do that. And what we want to do is put a person in position to be in a position to basically inform the public of what we do, what you can't read in the newspaper or you can't read on the blog, but you can go to DallasCountyDistrictAttorney.com and find out truly what happens within the DA's office. And so that's why we're here asking for your vote for these two positions. These two positions won't come from Dallas County taxpayers. We made an agreement with the Sheriff's Department where this money will be given to them, and these positions will be created. It's only two. These are two part-time positions. I think the question that some had is the fact that these individuals had a relationship with me outside of the DA's office before we offered them these offices. But if you look throughout the state of Texas, it's nothing unusual for a campaign worker to somehow be employed with the person that may be elected. I think the only thing that we should look at is the fact that they do a good job. They've done a good job on our campaign. I don't think anyone can argue with the fact that Dallas County has become one of the premier district attorney's offices in this country. In fact, in October, the American Bar Association not only will recognize me as a leading district attorney for this country, but they will recognize Dallas County as a leading district attorney's office for this country. And so this is just another opportunity for us to continue to move forward. I know this is just a briefing. Made my argument. I hope you'll listen to it and give us the opportunity to keep moving forward. Progress and change. That's what we need to make this county safe and to keep moving forward. Thank you.
Mr. Watkins, there was an assumption, or at least that's what I read, that there was one person that was related, family member. That is not true, if I understood correctly.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if you ask about half the folks in this room, if they are related to me, they probably tell you that they are. The fact is that in that article, they also wrote that this individual office out of my campaign office, which is not true. So we got to get past that.
Well, I have been voting against nepotism policy because I really believe that families should not be working.
Understand.
And if that's not true, I'll be able to support it.
70% Dallas County.
Well, I don't have anybody else.
Oh no, I understand your concern. I think the larger concern was the title of the article that Mr. Watkins was steering government funds to campaign workers when campaign workers work for elected officials all the time.
And that's
nothing wrong
It's
with
not
that.
an issue with me. With me, the issue that I can share is the nepotism issue.
Yeah.
And if that's clear, I won't have any problem. Also, I would like to see the work that they will do is pointed out here, Mr. Watkins, how many hours of each of the points?
20 hours a week for each. They're working part-time.
Okay, if you can create a template of what the work is going to do, that would be
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I believe the briefing agenda, you have one speaker.
Right.
I've been listening to y'all. And I'm gonna try to do this right because I don't know what kind of words y'all be using here now. But I came down here about 10, 15 years ago. I had a problem with a district judge down there who some kind of way my son had been charged with aggravated robbery. And the person who had gotten robbed said that he had nothing to do with it. And so he was found innocent of that crime, but he was sent to drug rehab because he didn't have anything to do with that crime. And so I was complaining to Judge Jackson about this judge. He told me Ms. Wooten 101 government that he had nothing to do with an elected official. Elected officials were elected by the people, and if anything was wrong with this judge, then the people would have to get rid of him, and it wasn't, y'all have nothing to do with that. Then I've been reading in the Dallas Observer and the Dallas Morning News and all these papers about these no-bid contracts and misspelling on contracts and all this stuff, so I started to do a little research on no-bid contract, and I found out that, well, can I say LBJ and the Brown brothers was all involved with a bunch of no-bid contracts. And then I started hearing about Halliburton and no-bid contracts. And so I read part of this book, Halliburton's War. And they call the war zone as a theater. I don't know how y'all do that, turn that into a theater. There's a bunch of stuff, they eat ice creams and a bunch of stuff they're doing over there in that war zone in Iraq. And those private contractors, no-bid contractors, $25 billion contracts, $500 billion contracts, billions of dollar contracts. And I just can't understand the confusion about some $1 million contracts in the black community and these $1 billion contracts in University Park and Highland Park and Preston Holland and stuff. And I don't understand the confusion of that. And I think the only problem I got with no big contracts is I don't know how to get none of them. That's my biggest problem. I want to know how to get in on these little big contracts. But I just don't think we need to be worried about this little bit of million money that we getting in the black community. Of course, then nobody tell me about them, but I think this needs to stop. It is petty to me. And I just came down here to say something about it.
No, on purpose. No. I promise I did not cut it off. Yeah, there you go.
I see y'all lost my train of thought, but I want to no bid contracts, and I need $1 million or something. I've been coming down here about 35 years, and I'm just now learning about this stuff. But leave these $1 million, because I don't look at no, I don't listen to the radio and none of that stuff. But pay attention to these $500 billion contracts, and these little $1 million contracts ain't that's all I had to say. Good morning.
All right. That concludes our speakers report is now reconvened in public session and recess for its closed session is authorized by Class 51 of the basic government code is previously posted. As a result, the closed session will take place in the subsequent session.